holding it in. Good morning, it's Friday, it's SJU. It's Fan Friday. Hoot hoot, Dan Dan. We got kind of a skeleton crew today, a lot of people out of the office, but we got a good crew today. I got Dan Murrell. I tried to say
Dallas
Dan
Reigns?
and Hal at the same time. Dal Murrellnick. My
Sounds
dear
like a
friend.
robot.
I am Dal Murrellnick. Hal.
Oh, Joe, damn glad to be here with a couple of pretty cool dudes.
Hey. Dan, welcome back from traveling.
Thank you. It's good to be back. Of course, I leave on like the biggest packed news week ever.
That's how it happens
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
That's just how it happens sometimes.
I mean,
We're talking about.
were you able to watch that Joker trailer while you were traveling?
I mean,
did, yes.
Okay.
Well, look, today we're gonna get into John Cho and Cowboy Bebop. We're gonna talk about just a lot of perfect castings in history, because I think personally that is a really perfect piece of casting. We're gonna get into a bunch of fan questions, but before we get into our first story, we're gonna do a little something we're gonna call Catch Up with Dan. Dan?
Yeah, that's right. Like I said, there's so much stuff happened while I was gone. So like, I just want to take 10 seconds, if I can, and just very quickly run through some of the stuff that happened this week. Joker trailer looks great. Can't wait to see it. Storm has gotten screwed over in movies, and I get where Alexander Shipp's coming from. I have no idea what's happening with Cats, but it is now my most anticipated movie of 2019. I did not watch the Avengers sneak peek because I didn't have to, and I don't want to see any more from the movie. I have not seen the spin on certain corners of the internet from Captain Marvel making $1 billion, but I'm sure it's just choice. And I have never found porn in the woods, and I can't believe that's a thing.
I will say that, as a young pre-internet gentleman coming of age, wet magazines and pages that are like in the woods was like a holy grail.
Yeah.
And scrambled.
I'll say again, mine was artfully presented on particle board as a fancy collage.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah, that's my week.
I have mixed feelings on woods porn today, because the fan response to woods porn was so overwhelmingly fun and positive. Like, the comments of that whole video are just, it's like, I don't know, it's like at the end of like an alien invasion movie where all the other countries come back to help the hero, and the cavalry comes in and they're all in their fighter planes, and everyone's like, Dublin here, yeah, we've got porn in the woods.
Mr. President,
Yeah.
we found the woods porn.
We found the woods, but just people from
Yep.
all over being like, yeah, woods porn.
Yep.
And so I was like, oh my God, can I do something with this like phenomenon? Like, can I like write essays based on people's? But then, even diving even deeper, you guys are sending me all sorts of cool articles and podcasts about woods porn. I had no idea it was such a well documented phenomenon, because I thought I would. This week I went from I'm the only one to there's a whole movement. So on one hand, I was disappointed that creatively I can't run with it. But I'm also glad that I'm not alone.
It's like I found out that Bigfoot existed like this week, and then everyone's just like, yeah.
Oh,
Bigfoot. Everyone knows about Bigfoot.
Bigfoot? No, that's just a bear. They're all around.
But guys, we're going to talk about so much more than just woods porn today. Let's talk story number one. This is John Cho and has been cast in Cowboy Bebop. That complete cast has been announced. This is Viva Variety. The Cowboy Bebop live-action series at Netflix has found the majority of its main cast. John Cho, Mustafa Shakir, Danielle Pineda, and Alex Hassel have all been cast in lead roles in the series, which is based on the anime of the same name. John Cho will be playing Spike Spiegel, the main character. I know you guys aren't huge Bebop guys. It's a space western, basically, about this band of bounty hunters in space. If you filtered space through the jazz, or if you filtered a western through the jazz age, if that makes any sense to you at all. Western space adventure, tons of cool jazz. It's kind of a western noir almost. Really great, phenomenal storytelling. There's a reason people are still obsessed with this show years and years later, because it's just really good. For me, I'm excited about it. I have yet to be happy with a live-action adaptation of an anime. We've all seen Dragon Ball at this table. Great film.
Perfect.
You know...
No notes.
Zero notes. I don't know if you guys saw Death Note on Netflix. Did not enjoy. Even when they're non-Western adaptations, I don't love them that much. You know, there's been adaptations of a lot of popular series, Full Metal Alchemist, Attack on Titan, and I just think they're all bad. But this, I don't know, there's something perfect to me about John Cho playing this character. He's one of my top 5 favorite actors. I dreamcast him in almost everything, and I don't know how I did not see this one. Like, it completely left field for me. So with that said, because this is a really perfect fit of actor and part to me, let's jump into our first related to the story fan question. This is from @MagnaDoodoo. Put that on the list for our all-time favorite screen name, please. I just saw John Cho got cast in Cowboy Bebop, and I think it's actually perfect. What do you guys think is the most perfect casting choice you've ever seen for a role?
Wow, that's a great question. It's just like as I'm going through like the mental Rolodex or the memory banks, I don't know if I can come up with that just superlative the most. But you know who always delights me, or at least like especially early on with casting choices, Quentin Tarantino throughout like his filmography has always taken a road less traveled, and he's given us gems like John Travolta's comeback, Robert Forster, and Jackie Brown. Just these unexpected choices. Even just like bowing down at the altar of Jennifer Jason Leigh in Hateful Eight. I just he makes so many good moves casting wise.
I literally just wrote down Christoph Waltz Hans Landa because it's I would love to figure out, and maybe you said it before, like to what degree he wrote that around Christoph Waltz, and to what degree, because it's like you have this character who is a comedic / terrifying, menacing, quadlingual, like the needle you have to thread for that part, and he was like nailed it, like perfect. And like it's one of my favorite performances of all time.
Yeah, it's like, how do you make a Nazi just entertaining and funny, and like Christoph Waltz, it's like damn,
and like equally dreadful. Like
yes, we loved it. We relish in that performance.
I will also say I cannot imagine. Maybe it's because the movies are done. I cannot imagine anyone but Wesley Snipes playing Blade.
Yeah,
I try to imagine any other actor playing Blade, and I just don't see it.
They tried, like this. There was the Spike series, and it did not. That dude was fine, but he was not Blade. He was not Wesley Snipes' Blade.
I think it's because he just put his stamp on the role, and it's not like the Blade movies are not like amongst the best movies ever made. But I think that's a case of where
agree to disagree. That's fine.
That's fine. Like, who else could sell those lines?
I don't know. I really don't know.
That was such a perfect I think Wesley Snipes is Blade.
Yeah, I think he actually is.
Yeah,
no one else should. Even if by the time they get another Blade movie out into the world, they've got to go full Logan and just do Old Man Blade. Like, he's the only dude that can play him. RDJ is Iron Man.
Oh, that's a great one.
I don't know. Well, I mean, I do know why. Before that happened, I was never like RDJ to play Iron Man, because at no point was I ever yearning for a D-list Marvel character like Iron Man to get a movie. Like, it wasn't in my head at all. But then once all those things came together, like, that was just such a huge, perfect piece of casting.
While the movies don't generally always get it right, the XMen franchise in general, I feel like, and sometimes they whiff, but you look at Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart. I think that Famke Janssen was a very good Jean Grey. It's just that the content wasn't always there, but she was really good in that role. Again, Kelsey Grammer was a great choice for Beast. It's just that that movie wasn't particularly great, but I thought that he did well in that role. Like, that was kind of the thing, like Frasier, and they're like, wait, you think about it for me, like, that's kind of perfect.
Yeah, and I like McAvoy and Fassbender.
McAvoy and Fassbender,
roles.
Like when they reboot everything, everyone kind of scoffed at Quicksilver, but Evan Peters was really good in that role. I actually think pretty much all of the new X-Men are well cast.
It's just a shame they don't do anything with
Jennifer
them.
Lawrence and Mystique has been a bit of a weird thing. I think it's just because of the way that they need to enhance that role, because she's such a big star and became one after they cast her, that it just feels like an odd fit. But I think everyone else is like Nicholas Hoult is Beast. Like the franchise gets casting right more than they get story
content
right.
and story right. Yeah, sure.
I'll tell you, like, kind of the perfect collision of casting for me. Vin Diesel in the Fast series. I don't want to watch Vin Diesel in anything else.
No.
I do not. I will not. But if
although Triple X.
Oh, you
I'll
know
give him
what?
triple X.
But then he got ice cubed, and then but Vin Diesel and Fast, sign me up. Do it 11 times, 12 times.
Family and Corona, sure.
That is perfect casting.
Yeah, no, it
And
absolutely
it's
is.
retroactively perfect casting because the Vin Diesel from The Fast and the Furious is not the Vin Diesel of today.
No.
But they both grew together into the perfection of...
And there's
of-
something kind of cheesy about, like, the whole family thing.
Yeah.
But he owns it. That is his.
They're like Venom. They need each other.
Yeah.
They're symbiotes.
I'll give some big. You know, when I remember as a younger nerd, for the first time, firing up AOL and just watching a website slowly click down so I could see the official casting of the Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah.
Because that news had
Ooh.
dropped. I think it was like the OneRing.net, but like the GeoCities like version of it.
Yeah.
And just looking at that cast, just being like, oh my god, yeah. But then just seeing Sean Bean as Boromir on screen, because Boromir, as a kid growing up reading the books, it was always just like, what a douche nozzle. Like, I never cared about Boromir. Like, even, in the books, his heroic noble sacrifice and all that, I was always just like, whatever, Boromir sucks. Where's Faramir? That dude's dope. And Sean Bean gave that role just such just a depth of emotion and pain and sadness and struggle that is now my favorite character.
Yeah.
Sean Bean, man.
Yeah.
If you got a character that needs to die or turn out to be a bad guy and then die, I don't know if you can do better.
You can't.
Hell yes.
He's literally made a career out of it.
That's it.
Tragic / fitting deaths. Or be people.
Let's Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa
Yeah.
is fantastic.
Yes.
The MCU in general, they've
really nailed a lot of
They've
this.
nailed a lot of their castings.
Yeah. Even when they're not the most exciting castings, they still work well. Doctor Strange casting, I was like, okay, that's the very obvious choice. But also sometimes the obvious choice is the good choice, I guess, because he's great at the role.
Yeah.
They nailed the recast on Hulk.
Yeah.
Ruffalo was a great choice.
Yeah, Ruffalo, phenomenal.
There have been some weird Batman castings in our lifetimes, huh? Just like Clooney, Val Kilmer. It's like, wow, that's like 2 in a row where we're both kind of like...
But Keaton, too. There's a lot of revisionist history of Michael Keaton.
Really?
Well, yeah, everyone, they hated it. If you
Oh,
go
yeah.
back and find all of the news stuff, they're just like, Mr. Mom?
Yeah.
Mr. Mom is Batman? Beetlejuice?
Batman is 8 feet tall and 300 pounds easy.
This little weakling is going to be Batman? And now they're like, I think I would love to go back and find the people in those news interviews from 1988 or 87, whenever they announced Michael Keaton. Now they're just like, oh, yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And sometimes it's tough to. I know we've really just kind of been hitting comic book movies, but sometimes it's hard to look at a film or a property that doesn't already have an established thing that's in your head and go,
Yeah.
they nailed that casting.
Yeah.
Obviously there's incredible ones. The cast of 8th Grade, just phenomenal and fantastic. But so often you have a preconceived notion of a character in your head for something, and that when they really hit home runs on those pieces of casting, those are the ones that really stick out to you.
Yeah. Jurassic Park, I would just like to say, is an incredibly well cast movie.
Insanely well cast.
Both for book comparisons, and also knowing when to break from that and find the right balance. That's the perfect. I know a lot of people say, the perfect cast, and there are a lot of movies with great cast. Casablanca and classic films. But Jurassic Park, I would argue, also a movie that is cast down to the smallest parts.
Yeah.
Almost perfectly.
Well, what about ensemble casts for you guys? TV, big screen?
Glengarry Glen Ross.
Fantastic cast.
Yeah. Coffee is for closers. Bridesmaids. I mean, with that, I mean, Melissa McCarthy and Kristen Wiig, and just those women just knocked it out.
This is Spinal Tap.
Oh, God,
Even
yeah.
down to casting Paul Schaefer as Artie Fufkin. It's like, kick me right in the ass. The Fran Drescher in there, the three main leads, obviously, but
Sure.
everyone else.
Yeah. All the guest ensemble in general, holy crap. I'll go Bridesmaids adjacent and go Bachelorette. If you've never seen Bachelorette, it's a similar premise to Bridesmaids. They came out at similar times. It's the Dante's Peak, I guess, to Bridesmaids Volcano. But whereas Bridesmaids feels really kind of crazy and chaotically improvised and fun, Bachelorette is just like a really tightly written, tightly performed piece. It's Kirsten Dunst and Elsa Fisher and a couple other people. Really fantastically put together ensemble. James Marsden, really fun group.
Right on. I mean, one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time, it is that, partially because of the cast and so many great people, Goodfellas, and I think Ray Liotta. Like, Ray Liotta, height of his powers. Like, I feel like I always want Ray Liotta to be frozen in time as that character. And then, of course, De Niro and Pesci, and just forget about it.
No, solid. On the small screen, the cast of Parks and Recreation, the joy of that ensemble to me was that you could pair them off in any way. The Cheers cast, phenomenal, and part of it is because of the structure of the show, but like everyone had their role, everyone pretty much had the person they were going to interact with week to week. But with Parks and Rec, you could put together any mix of those performers playing those characters.
So many comedic powerhouses.
Yeah.
Just up and down that cast.
Yeah, really fantastic.
One more I got to shout out that I just, The Wire. I bow down to every actor on The Wire. That's like top to bottom. Love. There's a special place in my heart for someone who has just been on The Wire.
Hey man, you been on The Wire?
And Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Yeah.
If only for Diana Rigg.
Yeah.
Oh,
holy
The
yeah.
best, maybe my favorite character on the show of all time.
She is delightful.
Incredible.
Breaking Bad?
Yeah, the cast of Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Very timid
Bob
suggestion
Odenkirk.
from the...
Thank you, Ryan. Bob Odenkirk, especially leading into Better Call Saul. Like, holy crap! Like,
Good call.
who thought the Mr. Show guy? Who knew the Mr. Show guy was capable of that? I think it's so cool when comedians get to just step up and be like, hey, I'm more than sort of what I've been allowed to be sort of in my business. Like, I can do so much more. I love it when they're able to hit home runs.
And Mike Ehrmantraut and Hank and Mrs. White. The whole cast.
Connor asks, what's a weird casting choice that you ended up liking? I guess, the main one is going to be... the internet's weird casting choice that they ended up liking was Heath Ledger. The world exploded when that first makeup test of Heath Ledger came out, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's the My Chemical Romance Joker."
Again, the revisionist history on everything is so interesting because there's this concept of just like, and part of it is because we lost him unfortunately so soon and before the movie came out. But so there's this idea of just like it was always this amazing legacy role, and it's like it wasn't like that was one of the first big controversies that I was old enough to be an adult plugged into the somewhat the modern day version of the internet a little bit earlier. But around the social media age. But yeah, I remember when
people
like
furious
that
at the guy
first
from Knight's
thing of
Tale.
him with the thing with the scars and like, oh, so he's just scarred Joker, emo Joker. This like, oh god, now you got this guy. He doesn't have the weight. He can't do it. It's just like everybody was just ragging on it and just like, oh, it's gonna be terrible. No one can ever tap Nicholson. This is a terrible. This is a bad idea. The first movie wasn't that good anyway. But I mean, everyone just on and on and on. Not everyone, but a lot of people were just hated it. Hated the fact that there wasn't it's not even a real smile. It's not even a real smile. It's what is like people were not on board with Heath Ledger. And then the movie came out and everyone was just like, oh.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's the big... I'm trying to think of one where I went, really? And then they brought me around.
One that I sort of just went, was when they announced Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, just because she had a very small filmography to reference back to, and the fact that, they had sort of gone... I mean, Henry Cavill was pretty much an unknown Man of Steel, but he had already done... He'd done Man of Steel by that time, and then
he'd done the Tudors
he'd been a lead in a couple of movies, but Gal Gadot is just like, oh, okay, like she didn't come from strictly an acting background necessarily, and the fact that you're like, they must really like her if they're putting her in this role. That was when I was just like, I don't know what to expect from this, and then like when you see the movies, like she was perfect for that part, nailed it. Also, another one from a decade ago, Liam Neeson action star. We take it for granted now, but when Taken came out, everyone's just like, "What?
Where'd this come from?"
He's not.
Sure.
He's
Yeah,
the drama
and now
guy.
he like created a genre of like old
He
men
did,
back
every
to kick
January.
ass.
Yeah, dad revenge fantasy genre. Yeah. The airport store book genre, I guess.
One that I was out.
I would count that in that sort of the Jack Reachers and Takens of the world.
Yeah.
Just in when Force Awakens was coming out, I was like, I don't know about this Kylo Ren casting, and now I'm like, yeah, great.
I was also skeptical of them bringing back Harrison Ford. I was like, oh man, he's given up on so many other things, and then he was.
We got that nice little last spark of him in Force
nice little
Awakens.
spark of Han Solo there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's it for hey, reminder. You like what we talk about? Hit the bells, like and subscribe, and do all that stuff. SJU's on every morning. We do a lot of really cool videos. Every week, we've got a really great video essay on Lord Miller up right now that you can check out. Super proud of it. Super happy with how it came out. So make sure you check that stuff out. We do Charting with Dan every Monday.
Shazam.
Yeah, talking Shazam next week.
I think it's going to do a little better than the projections. That's my prediction because I think it's real. I think it's going to have good word of mouth.
Right on. Yeah.
Well, hit them bells. Again, we're not entirely sure what order you have to hit the bells or how many YouTube bells you have to hit to make sure that you're getting notifications when we go live every day.
Yes.
But hit one or many of them. Thanks, guys. All right, let's jump into just some fan questions.
Sure.
Tom Baduin asked, I think I said your last name correctly, Tom, and I apologize if I didn't. I also just like it. It sounds like Tom Bombadil, kind of. Tom Baduin. Tom asked, also, you can ask your fan questions via the community tab on the Screen Junkies News fan page. That's where we source them. So make sure you take a minute, go check out that community tab, and that's where you can leave fan questions. Yay! So Tom asks, which director has covered the most genres successfully?
I will die on this hill. I think it's Stanley Kubrick.
Oh, you know what?
One of the best, if
Absolutely.
not the best, sci-fi movies of all time. One of the best horror movies of all time. One of the best gladiator movies of all time. One of the best war movies of all time. If you go down his genre, one of the best comedies of all time with Dr. Strangelove. Like he has made like a top 5 to top 10 best in show movie in almost every single genre there is. It's crazy. The range that he covered in so few movies and the high level of skill with which he executed it.
Yeah, Spielberg's racking up genres, war movies, sci-fi, action, adventure with Jurassic Park. Schindler's List is the heartbreaking Holocaust movie genre. So yeah, so many different genres for Spielberg.
Something I was thinking about, and again, maybe not always the best movies, but I think someone in the multi-genre conversation that I think deserves some respect just for the hits they try to make is Ang Lee. He could have very easily been turned into the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon Factory by Hollywood because that was such a big crossover hit in the U.S. But I've never really seen him make the same movie twice. They're not like that Hulk movie, super, super weird. But you can't say that Ang Lee has ever sat back and been like, okay, here's my box and here's the thing that I do.
Right, and I feel like people forget about Ang Lee as someone who has created gems. I mean, The Ice Storm is just a startlingly good movie, among others.
Yeah, so maybe not the greatest, definitely not in the Kubrick realm of like these are timeless masterpieces. But I always respect the fact that I'm always surprised by what he's going to do next. Even it's going to be weird. Like he's doing the high frame rate thing again for his next movie, and I think that's a very bizarre and weird choice, and I don't necessarily agree with it. But props to Ang Lee for always being like, I want to do something weird and following through with it.
Peter Jackson is also a director that has jumped genres very not as successfully as some directors, I think, but as far as like the scale and the scope and the difference of what he's done throughout his career, comedy, horror, fantasy, King Kong, just sort of big sweeping almost melodrama. The Lovely Bones is as much of a smaller movie. He really sort of mixes and matches what he's going to do and spend his time on it. That's why I was kind of bummed out that the Hobbits were. It seemed like he felt a little forced to do the Hobbits.
Yeah, a little obligated.
And I kind of wonder what we might have gotten in those intervening years that we didn't get.
Nolan is ticking boxes.
Better Mortal Engines.
Nolan is ticking boxes on genres. War. I mean, all of his movies fit into one genre. It seems
The Nolan
epic.
genre. Yeah.
Nolan verse. But within that, war movies. Interstellar is like a space sci-fi fantasy. Superheroes, obviously. I mean, the small, hard-boiled rethinking of the detective movie with Memento.
Tarantino fits that mold too, where it's like all of his films feel like the genre of Tarantino, but then he sort of has subgenres that sort of fall in the Western homage and the sort of hard-boiled crime homage and stuff like that.
Catherine Bigelow. Also. Look up. Like she's done so many. Like again, not the most prolific filmmaker in the sense that like she'll go years between doing movies, but they don't all fit into one box.
Yeah, the fact that you go from like point A, which is Point Break, to like Point Lake is pretty ridiculous.
Hurt Locker and K-19 and just the idea of just like, I don't work in a genre. I work on movies.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it is really, really cool. Let's see here. Let's talk directors a little longer. One, then the numeral 1. Blue asked, who's your favorite actor turned director? I mean, Affleck's
we
done
had this.
some cool
we
stuff.
talked about this on Movie Fights recently. I mean, Affleck. I get like The Town. That's really good. He's made several
Argo.
Really good movies. Argo, of course.
Gone, Baby Gone. No, he didn't direct The Accountant.
I can't. No, I don't think he did.
He did Live by Night. I think the other one.
That one I
out.
didn't see.
I didn't see that. One. Not many people.
Bobcat
did,
Goldthwait is a great performer turned director. That dude makes some weird stuff, which you should watch.
There's a movie that it's a little hard to watch, but it's surprisingly great. World's Greatest Dad with Robin Williams. It's a depressing movie.
It is bleak as hell.
Yeah, bleak as hell, but darkly funny. If you want a little black comedy, Bobcat Goldthwait directing, Robin Williams in an unexpected... Because, like, Robin Williams, a lot of times you think, like, just straight up fun or something that's Patch Adams going to tug at your heartstrings. This is a dark, weird movie that's, like, really good.
Yeah.
World's Greatest Dad.
While I think that he has fallen into a rut of cantankerousness and wish fulfillment, Clint Eastwood has made some great movies in the last, 4 decades?
Yes.
He's made some really good movies.
Unforgiven.
His current
to me, but
Unforgiven is a Mount Rushmore Western.
Unforgiven, Mystic River, Million Dollar Baby, the both Flags of Our Fathers and Letters from Iwo Jima, back to back.
Yeah,
it's
his one-man shows with the chairs not as great, but
the Mule is just.
You know what? I never saw The Mule, but I feel like I have to because he's in 2 ways in The Mule.
2 separate threesomes.
Yeah.
And the idea of just
Clint.
like casual racism is A-okay. Like, I don't know about some of this stuff now.
Yeah, Gran Torino was a primer.
Yeah, but even Gran
off my
Torino
lawn.
had a kind something behind it. I just felt like it. I don't know. The Mule was a weird movie, but he has made in the past some great movies, and he bubbles up every once in a while now with one that I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's fine. Molson 1015 asked, what TV show or movie high school character is closest to who you were in high school?
Dawson Leary.
Easily. All 3 of us.
Was me, except for the whole thing about like being caught between Katie Holmes and Michelle Williams. Not me at all. But the thing of just like the kid in high school, he was exactly my age. I had the same Steven Spielberg posters on my wall. I wanted to go into, I wanted to be a director. I loved movies. Like down to the DNA of what he wanted to do. I was just like, that's me out there. Again, except for the part about having to choose between Katie Holmes and Michelle Williams. Not that part. But yes, Dawson Leary was like 100% me.
I would say maybe a little Brian Austin Green from Beverly Hills 90210. Like, I was not Dylan or Brandon. I was like, Brian Austin Green, who was like, he wanted to be an entertainer, and he was making the morning announcements, and kind of like that. Maybe with a little screech thrown in.
I could see you being like 10% screech.
Yeah, a little bit. Definitely moments.
I'll claim at least 30% screech. In every coming-of-age movie, there's the obnoxious little brother. That's just a little douchebag, and you're like, why are you in this movie? That's me. That's high school me. Yeah, I was I was Fuller. I was all of those kids. I'd like to prop me up and be like, no, I was like a cool, like, put upon John Cusack kid, but no, I was an obnoxious little piece of garbage in high school.
Yes, and I was all the dorky outcast parts of Dawson Leary. I was not the cool.
I disagree. I think you're very cool, Dan.
It's questionable.
Dan's cool.
Dante asked, in honor of DC's Shazam and Joker, what other heroes and villains should get the spotlight, and with what take or genre? So, I mean, is there someone who is kind of done to death that you're like, I want to see them take it in this direction, that direction, or just somebody that hasn't been up yet? DC has a property called Demon Knights. That's lots of cool, like, medieval sword and sorcery kind of stuff. And I would love to just see a straight up Dark Ages magic and swords and sorcery version of Demon Knights. Like a comic book movie in that time period, I think would be really fun.
I've been reading a lot of
big one.
Neil Adams Batman recently. I know Batman's been done to death, but
I've heard of him.
But my favorite version is that sort of 70s and 80s pre-Nightfall version of Batman. I would like to see some version of the T-Rex Penny in the Batcave, like the halfway point between Adam West and Tim Burton that it existed for a while, that we sort of go one way or the other with it. But Batman's been done so. I just love Batman so much that, like, I want to see if every iteration of Batman works. But I like that idea of, like, the blue and gray suit, this sort of like he had a sense of humor, but he was also still very tortured and dark
and
stoic when he needed to be. The art at that time was my favorite Batman art. The character designs on the villains were my favorite character designs of any era, and I just wonder what. It's not going to happen ever, but I do wonder, like, would that even translate cinematically, or would it be too odd?
Yeah.
I legitimately don't know, but I just love the Batmobile with the double thing, the double windshield. And I don't know. I would like to see it.
Visually that would be an amazing movie.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's something so just like sumptuous about a well-done villain, like a well-told villain story. I mean, I'm very excited about like this Joker film, and just like imagining like open up the Rogues Gallery and let's have more explorations into like a Poison Ivy or just like different characters that aren't as that we haven't seen as many deep dives to explore. Or I think about some of the most standout performances, and like Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman and Heath Ledger's Joker. Obviously, like villains are so much more. I feel like they get all the best lines. They get the most fun stuff to do.
Yeah.
They do.
There's a reason we love them because heroes usually and that's why I think Marvel has gone the quippy hero route because they got to make those guys pop. I think Tony Stark's Iron Man was the solution to, man, all the villains are just cooler. Because as rad as Batman is, he just has to go like, I'm Batman. I'm going to stop you.
Yeah.
I'm going to rob a bank. No, you're not. Like, that's all he can do. That's all he gets to do.
And. That's his kryptonite, is Batman is incapable of yes-anding. He's got to be like, no.
Yeah. Whereas RDJ just got to go like, not a great plan, as he mixes a drink. Like, that's fantastic.
I also think that we are primed. We've never been more primed for a She-Hulk movie.
Yes.
I want to see it.
And
I want to see She-Hulk.
And I want to see the full-on I'm a lawyer.
Yes. I want to see She-Hulk in the business suits and the glasses, like with the thing in court. Like it's not too ridiculous now. I mean, it has been. There's been times where it's too ridiculous. It's
Do you remember the movie, the Susan Sarandon movie, The Client? It was like a John Grissom.
Yep.
That is I think you could do a She-Hulk movie like that, where like she has to represent some witness who's in danger, and she has to protect them from AIM or some super science thing.
Yes.
And that's your so then you get your action, but then you still get her like addressing a jury and all that cool stuff as She-Hulk. I think that could be so fun.
Yep.
Neither of you are going to agree with mine. I think enough time has passed, and we like to play in nostalgia sandboxes. And I think for DC All Access, they should let Joel Schumacher direct like a 10-episode miniseries that takes place after Batman and Robin. Like in his blacklight, crazy, hypersexualized, nipples on the bat suit, bat universe. Like I want to see what Nightwing looks like in that universe.
wow.
I want to like I think it would be so dumb and fun. No
there
one
be
will
a-
ever agree with me or come with me on this journey. But
I mean, can we get a Mr. Freeze cameo from Schwarzenegger in there?
he's outside of this Terminator movie. I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah,
so
right?
yeah, sure.
Who's
Hopefully.
left? Who's left alive? Catwoman, Michelle
Yep.
Pfeiffer, technically.
Yep.
Mr. Freeze.
Yep.
Poison Ivy, still correct.
You could do
Tommy Lee
and there's
Jones.
some you could
No, he died. He fell. Riddler's alive.
Oh yeah,
Riddler's still
yeah, he's
alive.
still in the thing going.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's a great Arkham Asylum, at least a Joel Schumacher Arkham Asylum series
Yeah.
with
Oh,
all
yeah.
of the surviving cinematic villains.
because there. I'll die on the, like visually. There are some very weird things in that movie that I was like, that's so weird and cool and fun. Like when Chris O'Donnell like takes the Batmobile for a spin and that weird gang that's just covered in blacklight paint fights him. Like I like that Gotham. I really like that weird laser tag Gotham City.
I'm on board if you get Nicole Kidman to reprise her role as Dr. Chase Meridian.
I think the show's about her. Let's just
If it's Dr. Chase Meridian running Arkham Asylum and talking to like Uma Thurman and Schwarzenegger and Jim Carrey Riddler every episode, then I am 1,000% in.
I think we
That's
just cracked
bananas.
this.
That would be fun.
I think we actually just cracked this.
Yeah,
you
I would
made my
love it.
Schumacher pitch work, and that's why I'm so glad you're back, and that's why you're a wizard, Dan. And I love you very much.
An Arkham series would be awesome.
Guys, the Schumacher Arkhamverse.
Schumacher.
Guys, that is our show. Charting with Dan. We'll be back Monday or today?
Monday.
We'll be back Monday as at its usual time. Make sure you check out this last week's Honest Trailer and Honest Trailer commentary for Into the Spider-Verse. Next week's going to be a fun one too, so we'll see you on Monday morning. Bye, guys. Have a good weekend.